Brought to you by Nooganomics.com. That's Nooganomics.com, a website that is not popular, but it is our chief sponsor here. This is David Tulis, the writer with the biggest pen in Chattanooga. It's 180 feet long if you laid it down, but we don't want to lay it down. We want it to stand perfectly straight in the air, pulsating out 1,000 watts of powerful amplified modulation through the air and through the ground. David Tulis, we cover local economy and the free market, and our idea is boiled down into 5 axioms. 3 are in large type and 2 are in the footnotes. Near is better than far, small than big, and simple than complex. And down in the footnote, where even there the good people squabble against us and want to overwhelm us with their pleasantries and their free money, we say no. We say personal is better than corporate, and physical is better than abstract. These are, in a way, fruits of the gospel and fruits of Christianity, and they imply a decentralized, highly personal political, social, and economic order, and they imply self-government and a resentment against pretenses by others to govern us, to police us. Do you want to be policed? Well, I certainly don't, and so we want to step away from efforts to treat us with proprietorship, to make us subjects when we don't want to be subjects. We'd rather be free and self-determining actors, obedient to God, looking out for our neighbor, and loving even our enemies. This is David Tulis, and loving our enemies is something that Pastor Dale Walker has in his agenda. He is a gospel minister, but also has a view toward getting Christian people and others interested in the doings of the civil magistrate, the king, if you will, the president, the governor of the state, and that is his work through Tennessee Pastors Network. He's the president of that organization, and we have Dale here on the phone because we want to hear about an event Saturday in Dayton at the courthouse where the Scopes trial took place, where evolution fought against the Butler Act, the Butler statute, that had been laid against the neck of a teacher who believed in evolution and taught it in violation of the law. But of course, that the Scopes monkey trial is seen worldwide in the revisionist histories as a great victory for the progressive idea. And so this event is taking place Saturday at 10 o'clock Saturday in the morning, and at the Dayton courthouse. Dale, what is in view in this patriotic 4th of July weekend event in Dayton?
Well, as we all know, David, it's important to engage the Christians, the pastors, the people out there that love our Constitution, that love the Judeo-Christian values of our nation. And this has been a problem of getting people engaged for many years. And so what we're doing is we are peacefully and prayerfully gathering in Dayton Saturday morning, July 1st, 2017, at the site of the old Scopes trial. And we have got many speakers that are coming in that believe in the Judeo-Christian values, that do not believe in evolution. And we are gathering there because the humanists are erecting a statue of Clarence Darrell in a few weeks. And certainly, it's their right to say what they want to say, to speak what they want to say. And again, we're going to be peacefully gathering as the Tennessee Pastors Network. We're going to be talking about our Judeo-Christian values, and we're going to be standing on what we need to stand on. And we're going to be using that public place to do it simply because of the fact of it was the site of the Scopes trial.
And of course, Christianity, with its narrative of creation, contradicts flatly the theories of evolution that have risen around the works of Charles Darwin and many other humanists. The idea of creation, of course, is that God created the world and everything in it ex nihilo, from nothing. And that mankind was made in the first man whole, Adam and Eve, our first parents. And the evolutionary theory, of course, requiring billions and billions of years to allow for this long system of undirected, causeless evolution. Now, who are some of the main people who will be at the event, Dale?
Well, we're looking forward to having Senator Mae Beavers there. She has been a long-standing, solid conservative that we could count on in Tennessee. You never have to worry about where Senator Beavers is going to stand. She is going to be there. A very special treat that we're going to be having is a guy that's going to be coming addressed as Thomas Jefferson. His name is Jim Maddox. He is from Cupelli, Tennessee. He quotes the Declaration of Independence by memory. And we had him in D.C. last year when I spoke at the Capitol in D.C., and we had literally Jim Maddox. He quoted the Declaration of Independence in the rotunda in front of Thomas Jefferson's statue. He will be coming dressed as Thomas Jefferson. And then we also have Representative Judd Matheny that just headed up the issue in Nashville, Tennessee about Nashville City Council and the move thereon to make Nashville a sanctuary city. And Representative Judd Matheny will be coming there. And we have Larry Tomczak, who is a cultural commentator. And we have others. We got a great event that day for folks to come out. I guarantee you that they will learn something. And they will see people and individuals that love this country, love our Judeo-Christian values, that are just peacefully gathering there at that courthouse to express their beliefs and what our founding fathers established this country on, and the fact that they want to continue that, David.
Well, I think we should spend just a minute here, Dale Walker of the Tennessee Pastors Network, saying something about Mae Beavers. She is a state senator, and as long as I can remember, she has been on the front of, I would say, right-thinking, respect for the Constitution, and having a high view of the people of our state, and thereby wanting them to have protections that are not granted them now by the state. For example, she has a high view of the 10th Amendment, which says that authority not delegated to the states or to the national government are reserved for the people. And that's a very freedom-oriented amendment in the Constitution that more and more people are following.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the fact that, Senator Beavers certainly believes in, the rights of our states to make decisions, the rights of the citizens, and she truly stands for that. Just like this year, Tennessee Pastors Network, we stood strong with her on the bathroom bill. We talked about this on your radio show when this was all going down at the legislature. And Senator Mae Beavers, she got in front of the Senate introducing the bathroom bill that a boy should not be able to go into a girl's restroom in a school. And she walks into the Senate committee, and she was basically gabbled down and did not get any support. And here's this how great of a lady that this woman is and how strong she believes in what she believes in. She was very sick that morning, had flu-like symptoms. Her husband drove her into the legislature, and for her comrades to do her this way because of the pressure of the upper people in the government or maybe special interest groups. And when we have somebody like this that's down there fighting for our values, I am honored to stand with her, and we are graciously honored to have Senator Mae Beavers coming on Saturday to speak to us in Dayton, Tennessee, July 1st at the Ray County Courthouse.
Now, she's running for governor, and I think the listener needs to be aware of her name. Again, it's Mae Beavers. She's favoring a repeal of the gas tax increase that has just gone into effect. She supports the Fourth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, and the right to bear arms. She stands for constitutional carry, which is something that free market lovers, constitutional interested people like my listener care about. And then we're hearing here from Dale Walker about the marriage bill. Let me ask you about Judd Matheny, Dale. The idea of the 10th Amendment is that there are many powers and authorities left to the states and the people that have not been arrogated by the federal branch, by the federal power, which has in law delegated authority and enumerated authority only. Now, the idea of the Sanctuary Cities bill seems a little confused. Conservatives like it because they think somehow it shows that we care for a right defense of the nation through the border wall and immigration policing. On the other hand, the 10th Amendment would say, well, there are things that local people can do, and local cities, counties, and states can do apart from the federal power, and even defy the federal power. The idea of defying the federal government through the 10th Amendment is something that Mae Beavers supports, and I believe you do too. Why is the sanctuary cities a bad thing? Why is the idea that Nashville might be an area, a haven for those fleeing the federal police. Isn't that a good thing to be fleeing from the federal police? Should not more people be fleeing from the federal police, Dale Walker?
Well, it's a very dangerous thing to take these immigrants and take the refugees. I mean, we put up a billboard here with the Tennessee Pastors Network about supporting President Trump's ban, that goes into effect. I believe it goes into effect at 8 p.m. tonight. So when you take a major city that becomes a magnet for those that are illegals, and whether it's one thing that Representative Matheny has mentioned is the MS-13 game and the problems that we have there with the game. So is it going, if they do a sanctuary city and they put the word out all over the country, basically what was said about Nashville was it could potentially be the most liberal city on the laws of immigration, and it would potentially be a magnet to all those out there of crime. Come on to our city, come on. And so what would that do to a city like Nashville? What would it do to property values? What would it do to crime? The statistics, I believe I read last week, that crime is up in a major fashion in Nashville. And these things ought to be very concerning to any individual out there. There has to be laws. There has to be protections. And I believe that the immigrants that come here, if they want to come here and they want to come here through the process and they want to come through here legally, then that's fine. But those that don't want to come and abide legally and abide under our laws, and that goes along with states and cities, David, if they don't want to abide under the law, then that was where the state was going to try to do something. Per Representative Matheny, they were going to introduce things in the legislature next year that would have dealt with this issue of what Nashville was going to do on the sanctuary city, David.
So the position of has the Tennessee Pastors Network taken a position on the sanctuary cities idea, Dale? Is this a political position or is it a theological position?
Well, obviously, there's all kinds of positions one could take, both theological, and political. Our concern, again, is those that would come here that do not want to assimilate to our communities, and those that would come here because of that would be drawn the gains because that they're not going to be treated the same way that regular citizens potentially are treated. So yeah, there's a lot of concerns that that we have of being the Tennessee Pastors Network. And a government's job is to protect the people. They have a responsibility to protect the people, and we believe that if the city of Nashville is going to take federal money, then they ought to obey federal law.
Well, that's a very good point, Dale. But the whole idea that the national government is protecting Americans is why we have the police state. Because we want the government to provide security. That position requires the surveillance of the police state, because if security is our number one concern, if security is the state's number one concern and not justice, which implies the operation of courts, if security is it and not justice, then we have to have police, we have to have stop and frisks, we have to have roadblocks, and we have to have border controls and the like.
We're definitely certainly not. We're not for the police state by no means. I mean, we're definitely for a happy medium. That people would self-govern themselves. We certainly wouldn't be there. But fortunately, we've got good state reps. We got good state senators like Representative Matheny and Senator Beavers that saw the concerns of this issue, and I believe because they spoke up down there in Nashville and they raised the warning on this issue, that I believe that is a very good potential reason why this got stopped dead cold in its tracks. And there's a lot of issues, just like the issue you had a while ago on the child care issue, that should concern every citizen and every pastor in America. I plan on going to that event with that attorney. I've talked to a family just the other day that had a child that actually died. And it was a very sad situation, a very heart-wrenching situation. We've got a lot of issues in Tennessee. And at the event in Dayton on July 1st, we're going to be talking about certainly all the concerns, the things that are out there. What we're trying to do is standing on Judeo-Christian values and holding our nation where it needs to stand on the foundation, of our Constitution.
So again, we're talking with Dale Walker of Tennessee Pastors Network. This is David Tulis. Thank you for joining us here at Nooga Radio. So Dale, in a nutshell, tell my listener who's just joining us what is happening Saturday at 10 a.m. in Dayton at the courthouse.
Saturday, 10 a.m. at the courthouse, the site of the historic Scopes trial. Tennessee Pastors Network hosting an event there. We got major speakers coming from, some coming from out of state. Brother Dave Kistler, who is president of Hope to the Hill Ministries in D.C., also president of the North Carolina Pastors Network. He will be there. And we will be there to expound on why our nation should continue to stand on Judeo-Christian history of our country, because it's being revised. There are many of the historic statues that were based on Christianity across America that the humanists have fought against, the crosses and different things. And now the humanists are wanting to erect a statue of Clarence Darrow, and they're going to, in Dayton, Tennessee. Well, as Christians, we are peacefully showing up there to express our thoughts based on the Bible and the foundations of the Word of God and the foundations of our country. And we're gathering there with many speakers that will share many things with you. I'm sure you will learn things, and you will be encouraged to go back to your churches, go back to your communities, and go back to your families and expound these things to your families about our country, because the history, as you well know, our history has been revised in our nation, and we're losing this knowledge of our wonderful history, our wonderful founding of a great country that we live in. And we'll be there, God, family, and country, Saturday, July 1st, 10 a.m. in the morning. We'll be going into the courtroom and praying where the Scopes trial was. We'll be there. Folks will get to see that. Have people say, hey, I've never been there. I've never been there. So show up on Saturday. It'll be a great family event.
Dale Walker, thanks so much for joining us. We've been talking with Dale Walker of Tennessee Pastors Network. Dale, thanks so much.
Saturday in Dayton.
Yes, sir. This is David Tulis. We are here at New York Radio and want to mention a story out of Illinois. The story is of the future. This is the future of the country, and it is the future of Illinois. And I don't think it's likely to happen in Tennessee, since we're required under the Constitution to balance our budgets. But the state of Illinois is about to collapse. It is about to go under. It has $14.6 billion in unpaid debts, and bills are not being paid. There are probably $250 billion in that one state of unfunded pension liabilities. And the electric bill for the Capitol in Springfield is not being paid. Billions of dollars in road projects are grinding to a halt. There is the governor. His name is Bruce Rauner, and he's in a conflict with the Democrats. The House Speaker is Michael Madigan, and the fighting is over spending and term limits. And Illinois has not had a budget for 2 years. This is the future of the federal republic as well, before it goes into some kind of receivership. There's a Democratic plan that includes tax increases, spending cuts, a freeze on property taxes, and an easing of workers' compensation protections to attract business. The Democrats have a plan too. Really not of much effect. Doctors and hospitals and hospital companies are receiving the brunt of the non-payments. Some payments are months out of date. There's a company called OSF Healthcare based in Peoria. It has 10 Illinois hospitals. It's owed about $115 million, according to the Wall Street Journal, due for bills over 4 months old. It's about 18 days of operating expenses, says Chief Financial Officer Michael Allen. We have to be cautious about our future. There's just no end in sight. The state owes dentists $225 million, and some of those bills go back 23 months, $225 million, according to the Illinois Dental Society. Healthcare is the biggest employer in the state apart from the state itself. And Memorial Health Systems and HSHS St. John's are together owed more than $200 million. And one hospital has had to put off a $100 million capital expansion. There's a Coliseum in Springfield, the capital, which has been closed indefinitely. Again, another tax albatross. Whenever you have cutbacks, the most feckless of projects are shut down. In Charleston, there's a university that it is shutting down their empty storefronts all around Lincoln Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare through campus. Jerry's Pizza, a staple for professors and students since 1978, closed in October, citing the university's shrinking populations. If you rent a pad nearby the university, you get a free iPad mini. There's a huge demand for students to come in and to work. There is deadlock, gridlock, and that is the future for the country. The future for the country drawn out in the state of Illinois. I think it's something to think about. David Tulis, we do thank you for giving us just a couple minutes of your time. We argue for loving your neighbor and buying local. We're brought to you by Nooganomics.com. That's Nooganomics.com, the only platform in Chattanooga that gives the real accounting of the Airbnb vote on Tuesday, and an unconstitutional ordinance that everybody except one city council member approved of. David Tulis.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio.